Gardeners don't travel very well, particularly in the spring and summer. I've left everything at home and I'm worrying about it a few days away. But it's a chance to visit my daughter Sophia up here in darkest, whereabouts are we?
Warwickshire.
Warwickshire, that was it, yeah. So I get all the shires mixed up. It comes to do with being Cornish. Anyway, we have got a nice sunny day here, so we're out in the garden, who wouldn't be? And Sophia's just bought a house, and it's a lovely little place, nice town, and it has a garden, which has got a fine crop of...
Nothing. It's got nothing.
Well, actually, it's full of stuff, but not things that we can eat.
It's not useful stuff.
So we're going to try and do something about it. And it's an interesting little case study. That's why I thought I'd start filming, because where do you start with a garden that's had children's toys in it and things like that, and they do a bit of washing and so on, but let's make a bit of it into a growing space, and we're going to have a wander around and see what we've got. First of all, Sophia, the most important thing is to figure out which is the sunniest part. Mm-hmm. Now, we're about 11 o'clock in the morning. See, the sun's there, so presumably south is about that direction now. Now, you probably can't see it too well on the camera, but on this side, it's quite dark. There's the neighbour's house is overlooking this part of the garden, and even though it's mid-morning, this half of the garden's still in shade. So we don't want to be on this side of the garden. There's an obvious place to start gardening, which is over here. This side, you can already see it feels warmer. There's a nice bit of warmth on the fence as well, so anything you plant against this fence, which is painted black to soak up the sunlight, will automatically do quite well. So I'd recommend this side of the garden, from a point of view of exposure. The other thing that you need to look at is, can your hose reach to the spot?
Yes, it can.
It can, good, so we can bring water to it. And finally, have you done any digging in the ground? Do you know whether it's good soil down here, or is it full of rocks, or what have we got?
That's the only bit of digging we've done. That was to get rid of a poisonous plant.
Right, and were there, I can see there's some rocks been dug up here. Did they come up from there?
That was underneath those, so all the slabs were crooked. So Ben dug everything up and then cemented them, so that's it.
Because one thing you often get on fairly new estates like this is the builders, sometimes they're good as gold, but other times they use the back garden as a place to bury all the rubble. So quite often you'll be digging up some fairly large things. The question we're looking at here is dig or no dig. I'm a big fan of no dig. I use no dig at home, but certainly in a little garden like this, I'd say you probably want to start off doing a good bit of digging, simply to get the rocks out, to see what the soil's like, remove any builder's rubble. You might find things like plastic bags and all sorts down there, so it's best to get it all out. Do you agree with me, or would you prefer to go straight to no dig?
Whatever's most efficient, really. Well, efficient in terms of the growing bits, I suppose, but also quick because of baby. So
yes, I mean, you'll grow plants both ways. No dig for old codgers like me, it's a bit easier on the back. But I think, coming back to, we don't know what's down there. If you dig it to start with, you can always convert to no dig. But if you start off at no dig and find you underneath there's a load of bad ground that really you wish you'd got the rubble out of, then that's perhaps not the right way round to do it. So I would definitely start off by digging it. So what do we got here? We have an area of soil that's been cultivated. I see there's some things growing in there. So that's going to be quite a good place to start with. Some slabs here. Lift those. You'll always find use for slabs.
We'll probably just move them, to be honest. There's still a path.
Yeah. I mean, you might find that you're putting more areas down to gardening as the years go on. So keep the slabs. You can perhaps build a little path up the middle or something like that. Anyway, so I would get the slabs up. Get that young fella of yours out here with his fork, okay, and get all the old plants and weeds out. Compost them, don't throw them away, just make a heap in the corner of the garden. Do you compost?
We do, yeah. We've got garden disposal. They don't take soil though.
No.
But they will take the...
Anything you start to remove from your growing space, even if it's terrible weeds, is removing plant material, plant nutrition from your garden. So you should be composting everything from this point on, particularly food scraps. So I see you haven't got a compost bin.
Oh, we've got one the council take. We don't have one for us.
Right, well, you're going to be retaining those things from now on.
Oh, okay.
With making your own compost and keeping all the nutrients on site.
I see, and then putting them back in. Okay.
Yeah, if you think of the garden economy, every time you take stuff away, growing material away, even if it's kitchen scraps, you're shipping nutrients away, and you want to be bringing them in when you're a gardener. And once you've got them inside your little ecosystem, keeping them in a virtuous closed loop of kitchen waste, compost, back to garden, and so on and so on.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's the way we do
Keep
it.
them
So
all.
compost everything from now
Even
on.
eggshells?
I compost eggshells,
Okay.
tea bags,
Tea bags.
all sorts.
But only if they're compostable. Some
Yeah,
of them
check their paper tea bags. But the list of things you can't compost is far shorter than the list of things you can. So
Yeah.
you'll be surprised with that.
Okay.
And that can be done for another day. So take the slabs up, get in there. I mean, you really want to double dig. Double dig is an old technique, but it's very effective on new ground. So basically, you dig out a trench, put the soil on one side, and then you get into the bottom of the trench with a fork. You don't have to dig the second lot out, but you just make it all loose. So you get down 2 fork depths.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So the first layer, how deep would that be?
1 fork depth or 1 spade depth.
1 fork depth.
Put it on one side,
Yeah.
and you can actually advance. You can dig a little trench out, put the stuff on one side. Then when you dig out this area, you can fill into here. Yeah. Double dig on the bottom there. Dig the next trench out, fill into here, and so when you get to the end, you take the pile of stuff you put here, and you fill in at the top.
So is that just to loosen everything up?
Yeah, you're double digging in order to aerate as much as low down as you
Oh,
can
I see.
possible.
Okay.
Also get down and find any stones and rubble that you don't want down there. And when you're double digging, you want to incorporate organic material. Well-rotted horse manure, if you can find any from a local farmer, or compost. You have to buy it in because you're not making your own compost yet.
Yep.
Any well-rotted organic material, incorporate it at both incorporate it at both levels, so that when you're double digging, you're going down 2 spade depths. So you dig it into the bottom of the trench, and then when you put the soil back, incorporate compost into that.
Okay.
So you'll end up with a real layer like that of dug material, hopefully with no stones in it, with compost incorporated top to bottom.
Right.
And that double digging is a one-off. You won't have to do it again.
Okay.
In future years, you can either just dig the top layer, or you might be converting to no dig by then. Okay.
Cool.
So the double digging is a one-off, and it'll get the young chap fit. So that's the easy part.
Okay.
What are you going to plant?
I
What do you
don't
want
know.
to
We're
grow?
thinking cucumbers, leeks, stuff you can just grab and use in the salad. Maybe tomatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, grow what you like. It's a sunny spot, and if it's been well dug, incorporating compost, you'll be able to grow just about anything you want in here straight away. Obviously, it's now April,
Yeah.
so what you'll be planting is things that will come on during the summer months and perhaps into the winter a little bit. So the leeks you mentioned, they're a winter vegetable. That's okay, but you plant them in June or July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really should have got the seeds off going by now. You might be able to buy some leek plants from a garden centre, or maybe you've got a friend that's got some leeks growing from seed. If you don't have any, don't panic. You can plant other winter vegetables, brassicas mainly, that sort of thing, which you usually can buy from the garden centre.
Okay.
In the form of little growing plants in June, things like that. Tomatoes, absolutely brilliant idea, because they'll love the warmth of the fence behind it, particularly as it's painted black.
Yeah.
Make sure you get varieties that are suitable for outdoor cultivation. A tomato bought at random might be a greenhouse variety.
Yeah.
Okay, which will probably still grow here, but you wouldn't get such a good crop. So make sure it's an outdoor variety. Another thing I'd look at putting into newly turned soil is potatoes. You're just in time to plant some second early potatoes, which will produce your crop during the summer. You could try a few main crops as well, which will produce in September or October.
Main crops of potatoes.
Yeah, they're literally they're planted a little bit later. They grow over a long period and produce more potatoes. They're for storing.
Okay.
If you're shopping, you sometimes see early potatoes and big potatoes, main crop potatoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are 2 different varieties. Early varieties are ones which basically grow quicker and mature during the summer. So really nice for salads, and they're often a bit tastier too. But it's what you want, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you won't grow a year's worth of potatoes in a little patch like this, but they are good for breaking new soil. They're difficult to go wrong with potatoes. So that's something I'd just consider. I mean,
Easy.
if it was down to me, I'd probably just have a little crop of early potatoes, just to have some, say, a third of it, just to have some potato salads during the summer, and that would probably do me. But it's what you want to experiment with, really. You mentioned tomatoes; they can go in. They love a nice, rich, well manured soil, so they'll be fine here in freshly dug soil. How about courgettes and cucumbers?
Yeah, definitely cucumbers.
Yeah.
Probably courgettes as well. Because I think we did cucumbers at the front, didn't we, last year?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's
did
good.
well.
I mean, we know cucumbers do well here. I mean, I think this is a really sunny spot. So those cucumbites, as they're called, they'll absolutely love it here. Freshly dug soil, perfect. You probably only want one cucumber plant or one courgette plant.
Okay.
Because if they're in a good spot and they got their feet in the ground, you'll get a lot of cucumbers and you get a lot of courgettes. Very good for a small garden. Those types of things that they produce a lot. So, anything else you fancy putting in here?
We're thinking of fruit, but maybe fruit round the front because baby likes picking strawberries and things.
Yeah. I mean, I keep fruit separate from a bed that's dug.
What, like a raised bed?
Yeah, because fruit obviously is a permanent crop, and it doesn't ever want its roots disturbed.
Okay.
Whereas if you're digging up potatoes and things like that, even if you know
can change
dig,
it next
you're
year.
still messing around with the soil. So you generally want to have your fruit in different areas. I would put fruit back here, to be honest.
Yeah, because that gets the sun most of the day, and in the evening the sun's here, and it literally cuts that bit.
Yeah, it's a sort of second best spot. This is the best spot, but this is where you want your veg. Fruit will be fine there.
Okay.
I mean, you can grow fruit in raised containers as well. I think strawberries particularly in little raised boxes, that sort of thing. And then they have the advantage that you can move them around, put them in different places, you see.
That's what we're thinking, because the front gets the sun all day pretty much. I mean, it's a little bit shaded now, but then it gets the evening sun as well, so that might be a good one too.
Yeah, but I mean, you might be experimenting with fruit towards the winter. Particularly if you plant them in the soil, because you generally plant things like blackcurrant bushes and so on in the winter time, and that gives them a chance to get their roots into the ground before the growing season. If you can plant them now, but it strikes me you've got quite a bit of work cut out here over the next few weeks, so I would concentrate on your veg. Going back to veg bed, one thing I think you omitted was salad crops. Have a few lettuces.
Oh yeah, lettuce, that would be good.
I mean, if you say you got tomatoes along the back, and I would put them towards the back of the plot to take advantage of the warm fence, you could have some lettuces along the front.
Oh, I see. So better to go that way, because if I was thinking about it, I would do 1, 2, and 3. So you're saying do it that way instead?
Yes, I would. I'd have one long strip.
Okay.
Because the sun will track from one side to the other. And I generally like to think of my plants getting exposure as much as possible throughout the day. So if you've got beds going this way, you'll find that one bed will be shading another as the sun goes from side to side. So if it's this way, they've all got an equal share of the sunlight, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But obviously it's your garden. If you find a different layout more convenient, it won't be the end of the world.
No, it was only I was just thinking a bit more rigidly, I think. But no, that makes much more sense to do it that way, because they come up, don't they, a bit more. Tomatoes.
Yeah, good. So
or beetroot. Would beetroot be?
Beetroot, good one, yeah. I mean, you grow what you like, really.
Yeah.
Some things are a bit harder than others, but beetroot are quite easy.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to go for easy staples, I think.
Yeah.
But we like beetroot, so that would be a good one.
Brilliant, yeah. Do you like spinach?
I do, yes.
Yeah, that's a nice, easy one to grow. Pop it in as soon as you can, because it likes to grow on in the springtime. Spinach in the summer tends to bulk, but early spinach is good.
Okay.
And you'll find that, again, you can put that in between things. And again...
How big does it?
Spinach, 12 inches across, something like that.
Okay, so you need a bit of space in between.
Yeah. But, I mean, you can get a crop out, pull it out, whilst whatever's behind it. I'm using tomatoes as an example here. Whilst plants are growing up, and then there's no root competition for the tomatoes once they've got bigger, because the crop in front of it, salad or spinach, has come out by then.
Oh, I see. So, okay.
Yeah. Good. Well, I think that'll set things up quite nicely. Now, we're going to take photographs, because I'll be back in sunny Cornwall soon. Let me know how it all goes, and we'll keep a little record of things.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. Just one thing. How much would you recommend? Do you think putting lots of different vegetables in there, or just focusing on a couple, would be more beneficial?
Well, I think we've come up with a selection. Like I said, I would recommend early potatoes in about a third of it, because it's such a nice thing to grow. Yeah. The rest of it, I'll have 2 or 3 tomato plants along the back, maybe 4. And in front of that, we've talked about salads, we've talked about beetroot, we've talked about spinach. Yeah. And possibly a courgette plant at the end if you've still got room. Okay. Or sacrifice some salad space and put your courgette in there, and same with your cucumber. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be squeezing it in and arguing over what to put where.
Probably.
Have you got a gardening book?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you need to get something that you can look up the correct spacings for, and when to plant them and when to take them out as well.
Okay.
Okay, just have a look in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned
Really
herbs.
good. Yes, because we've got a couple of herbs jotted around. So we've got the big rosemary bush over there, and I think we've got one up front with lavender as well.
Yeah.
And I want to do mint. I think mint has to go in a pot, doesn't it? Separate from other things.
It's only because it tends to go a bit mad. I've got
Yeah.
mint at home in my garden. It just needs pulling out now and again. I
Okay.
mean, these herbs, they're all, again, same as fruit, they're all permanent fixtures in the garden.
Yes. Yeah. I think that
So you
rosemary's
could
been a while.
probably work up to them over time. If you haven't got anywhere immediate to put them in containers. Again, same as vegetables, they like a bit of sunshine.
Yes, because that gets the evening sunshine. But
Yeah.
that plant has done quite well.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that wasn't us.
Yeah.
That's been there a while, I think. But
Yes, well, I mean, herbs you just pop in where you've got a bit of space, and you've you suddenly think, oh yeah, I could use that there, but don't plant them in deep shade,
no,
because they won't enjoy it at the end of the day.
no.
So,
It's
brilliant.
quite a sunny garden, really. But
it's going to be nice. Yes, I look
Yeah.
forward to seeing it.
yeah,
Good.
no pressure.